Hey, welcome back. So when you think wine country, I doubt an industrial building in Layton comes to mind, right? But that's exactly where you'll find the Hive Winery. It's a family operation churning out hundreds of gallons of fruit and honey wines. See, they leave the grape wines to the other guys, and instead they pull local fruit and honey from nearby farmers. And they're actually releasing a brand new flavor tomorrow on National Wine Day if you needed an excuse. But before you get to know their raspberry peach flavor, let's meet the folks behind the barrels.
Welcome to the Hive Winery. I'm Jay, and this is Lori Yaney. We start with a big fermentation bins. Depending on the fruit or the honeys or whatever combination thereof we want, it's turning the sugars into alcohol and releasing carbon dioxide, getting a slow fermentation on that before we put them into the tanks. And our tanks actually age like 2-year-old oak barrels without having oak flavor to them. They sit in these tanks between 6 months and a year, depending on what I'm going for in the characteristics and the wines. So then after 6 months to a year, they get the characteristics I want. That's when I filter, sweeten, stabilize the wines before we bottle them.
And that's how the wine goes from this to this. Wow, that's amazing. But the Yaney's buzzing wine business can be traced back to coffee beans.
We met in our engineering statistics class.
Noticed her because of the coffee cup, and I had my coffee cup.
It's my third class of the morning, and I came dragging in with my cup of coffee every morning.
I started bringing her coffee since it was my first class. I could bring a fresh thermos of coffee.
Our first date was out for a cup of coffee at the local coffee shop.
Started out as friends and just grew from there.
The pair got hitched, started their own engineering firm, had a baby, then one day...
I was having a day with the engineering. It was like, I'm sick of being an engineer. I'm tired of dealing with developers. I'm tired of having to lay my employees off. Maybe we should just make wine for a living. And just made an offhand comment to him, and a month and a half later he comes back and says, well, I've run the numbers, and if we... And I'm just going, what have I started?
Like the red wine taste of the black currant or the sweet tart bite of the Bing cherry, the Yaney's own unique qualities blend into a bittersweet work dynamic.
He's always happy. He's always finding the best aspects, the best light. Granted, there's times I want to smack him upside the head because he's so darn optimistic.
She always says, you've got to worry about what ideas you put in my head.
I often joke about someday I'll learn not to give him ideas because he runs with them. He's constantly thinking, constantly looking 5 years down the road. I'm the balance to him. I'm the one that says, okay, that's great, but I like to know there's a reasonable chance of it working before we go into something.
Jay does the actual winemaking thanks to a home brewing background, while Lori...
I have affectionately dubbed myself the paperwork Nazi. So it means a lot of hollering at Jay to, you filled out the bottling logs?
But together they make it happen, running both an engineering firm and a winery from the same building.
You see the gray? It gets very hairy at times.
And all the licenses, I mean, we have 8 different licenses to have this facility. It's crazy.
But the couple sees the business mature a little more every day.
We've got a plan where eventually it might actually become our full-time job if it can grow enough. But we've always got an engineering job to pay the bills.
Until the two can make wine full-time. Their number one goal remains to make you fall in love just like they did back in the beginning. I am in love with their wine, and as you saw in this piece, the winery has a storefront and a tasting room where you can not only buy their wines, but also sample them. And you can also buy cute glassware that Jay's father makes, gifts, local t-shirts, and local gourmet food items. So if you don't drink, you still have plenty of options. Just go check them out. It is definitely worth the drive. So coming up on Fresh Living still, we're going to give